Srimad Bhagvatam, 7th canto. Almost we are concluding Lord Narasimha's pastime. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsham Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रियाय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances once again to all the devotees. So we are almost entering the conclusion, Falashruti of Narasimha's pastime, where Yudhishthira Maharaja was asking Narada Muni. As a part of it, Narada Muni started describing the pastime of Lord Narasimha, where we also had in hint how after killing Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu developed enmity more and more towards the Lord and had a mission of killing the Lord. He did tapasya and then he attained the boon. After that, after attaining the power boon, he tortured all the living entities on the earth, and then also Prahlad Maharaj, and how Lord has taken the form of Lord Narasimha and gave his protection to Prahlad Maharaj and killed Hiranyakashipu. After that, we see how Prahlad Maharaj has offered prayers to the Lord. So now, almost we are at the concluding part of this pastime of 7th canto. 7th canto from the beginning speaks about Lord Narasimhadev's pastime. So 7.10.40 is the verse Mataji has mentioned. So from there I am starting. Yata yata bhagavato bhaktya paramya paramyabhidha nrupaschedhyadayas satmyam harestaschintayayayuhu. Yata yata, just as Bhagavataha of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhaktya, by devotional service, Paramaya, Supreme, Abhidha, incessantly thinking of such activities, Nrupa, kings, Chedyadyaha, Sishupala, Dantavakta, and others, Satmayam, the same form, Hare, of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tachintaya, by constantly thinking of him, Yayuhu, returned home, back to Godhead. By devotional service, pure devotees who incessantly think of Krishna's Supreme Personality of Godhead receive body similar to his. This is known as Sarupya Mukti. Although Sishupala, Dantavakta, and other kings thought of Krishna as an enemy, they also achieved the same result. Purport. In Chaitanya Chaitamrita, in connection with Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Sanatana Goswami, it is explained that devotee should externally execute his routine devotional service in a regular way, but should always inwardly think of particular mallow in which he is attached to the service of the Lord. This constant thought of the Lord makes the devotee eligible to return home back to Godhead, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Tyaktva deham punarjanma, naiti mameti so Arjuna. After giving up his body, a devotee does not again receive a material body, but goes back to Godhead and receives a spiritual body, resembling those of the Lord's eternal associates, whose activities he followed. However, the devotee likes to serve the Lord. He may constantly think of Lord's associates, the cowherd boys, the gopis, the Lord's father and mother, his servants, and the trees, land, animals, plants, and water in the Lord's abode. Because of constantly thinking of these features, one acquires a transcendental position. Kings like Sishupala, Dantavakta, Kamsa, Paundraka, Narakasura, and Salva were all similarly delivered. This is confirmed by Madhvacharya. Paundrake Narake Chaiva, Salve Kamse Charukmini, Avistastu Harer Bhaktas, Tad Bhaktya Harim Apire. Paundraka, Narakasura, Salva, and Kamsa were inimical toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but because all these kings constantly thought of him, they achieved the same liberation, Sarupya Mukti. The Gnana Bhakta, the devotee who follows the path of Gnana, also attains the same destination. If even the enemies of the Lord achieve salvation by constantly thinking about the Lord, what is to be said of pure devotees who always engage in the Lord's service and who think of nothing but the Lord in every activity? Hare Krishna. Yata Yata Bhagavata, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhaktya. So whoever performs bhakti, devotional service to the Lord, constantly, incessantly thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, receives the same body as him. Sarupya Mukti. So we all know there are different kinds of liberations. Buddhists, they want to merge, they get nirvana, that is, they get liberated and they merge into the Karana ocean. They don't do anything there, but they are free from the influence of the material modes, and they won't have to take birth again. And impersonalists, they desire of merging with the Lord, so they go and merge into the Brahma Jyoti, which is the effulgence of the Lord. And there are other different kinds of liberations also, which is one where here it is mentioned. Sayujya, Sarupya, Salokya, Samipya, Saristi. So these are the 5 muktis mentioned. So we will be getting the same form as the Lord, but still there will be a difference to identify the Lord, because Lord only have that Srivatsa on his chest. And Sarupya in the same planet, closer to the Lord, Salokya. Like that, we have all these different muktis. So here in this verse, it is mentioned that whoever is constantly thinking of the Lord will get Sarupya Mukti. Even the demons like Shishupala, Dantavakta and all, they are also thinking of the Lord, but they are thinking of the Lord as the enemy. They were also constantly thinking of the Lord, because their enmity is so big that they can only think of the Lord all the time and how to cause destruction or how to kill the Lord. So In Chaitanya Charitamrita, in connection with Lord Chaitanya's instruction, Sanatana Gunapni, it is explained that devotee should externally execute his routine devotional service in a regular way, but should always inwardly think of particular mallow in which he is attracted to the service of the Lord. So as we are performing our devotional service, as we are chanting without offenses, chanting also has different stages. We start with offensive chanting, and we grow to the stage of offenseless chanting, where we constantly think of the Lord when we are chanting. Every mantra comes with a lot of love and affection towards the Lord, and seeking the lotus feet of the Lord and asking Lord to engage us in his service. As we get purified, as we are chanting offenselessly, quality chanting, we all will grow to a stage where we get the taste of the chanting, we get attached to chanting, we get attached to the Lord, and we also start feeling a connection to a particular mallow. And then we would like to serve the Lord in that bhava and prema. So devotees externally, they may be doing a lot of services which may not be directly correlated to that, but they will be always thinking about the Lord. So as a sadhana bhaktas, until we grow to that stage, we always can think of Lord's pastimes, Lord's glories, his associates and all, and continue doing our regular duties. We don't need to give up anything, but always we can constantly think of the Lord. That happens only when we, first of all, know a lot about the Lord. So when we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, we have to read with lot of details, trying to visualize all the things that we are reading and think of them again and again in detail. So Srimad Bhagavatam explains many pastimes. They describe how the Lord looks, how what are the paraphernalia Lord is having. So many details are given in Srimad Bhagavatam. And then the more we read attentively, we all will be able to notice those details and then remember those details. And we should be thinking of that. So for sadhana bhaktas, it may not be spontaneous because we still don't have attachment to the Lord. We still did not develop the prema for the Lord. So, but still, we should try to voluntarily think about the Lord, think of the pastimes of the Lord when we are chanting the holy names of the Lord. The initial instruction which Prabhupada has given many instructions to many devotees. So always Prabhupada instructions has to be taken in the context. So one good instruction for beginners where the mind goes everywhere. Many devotees have experienced that when they are sitting and chanting, the mind is everywhere else other than chanting, because you're kind of sitting and chanting, and then you will be thinking about what you have to do that day or something that happened previous day that is bothering you. So, or wherever our attachment is, our mind goes there actually. So if our attachment is to our work, mind goes there. If our attachment is to our children, the mind goes there. So there is a very easy way to identify why our mind is going to somewhere. Wherever we have an attachment, our mind goes there. So now we have to teach our mind to get attached to the Lord, to get attached to the holy names of the Lord, to get attached to the pastimes of the Lord. So it comes by practice, as Krishna said in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Chanchalam hi manah partha. Arjuna said that mind is chanchalam, obstinate, very difficult to control. And Krishna did not deny that. Krishna said that, yes, undoubtedly, mind is very, very difficult to control. If Arjuna says, maybe a wind can be controlled, but not the mind. But Krishna did not stop there saying that, yeah, it is very difficult to control. So give up, Arjuna. Forget it. I will make your mind control for you. He said it can happen with detachment and practice. Vairagya Abhyasa. These are the two words Krishna uses in that chapter, 6th chapter. detachment, and then abhyasa, practicing. So we don't need to completely detach ourselves. I mean, we will not be able to. Rather than I say that we don't need to, we will not be able to completely detach ourselves when we are in the beginning stages, or when we are completely, when we have a lot of material desires, and when we are highly body conscious, because our mind goes through the relationships that we have with our body, or the things that are related to our body. So detachment looks very difficult, especially to the gruhasthas. It happens even more. If everything is going good in the life as we are planning, as things are moving softly, attachment increases. We get attached to that good things, attached to the good things that are going in our life. Like, oh, let this good thing be like this. Let there not be any disturbance in my life. Let me not face any problems. This is very nice. Everything is going as I planned. Sometimes we think that I'm not desiring anything big. I'm asking that things should go like this, what they are, very nicely, without any reversals in my life, without any struggles, without any pains. Then I will just practice my 16 rounds of japa and regular reading, and I'll just go like this. This is nice. So many times, many devotees has expressed that when they see the devotees in problems, mostly when they see me going through the problems of this, is I don't know how you are practicing, but I won't be able to practice in that kind of a scenario, devotional service. So I rather want a situation where everything is going good. And people many times get confused with Kunti Devi's prayers also, and then they ask like, oh, do we need to also ask for difficulties so that we can think of the Lord always? So we should ask for the Lord, whatever is the situation that will help us to completely that will help us to be Krishna consciousness. So since detachment is very difficult for Gruhasthas, detachment is very difficult if we want to practice, as we are in the middle of family, we are working. There are so many things that we do day in and day out. Detachments becomes very, very difficult. But we can start simply practicing detachment with simple things, not like extreme things of going going to the end, like I will be completely detached with everything and everyone. And if we are not ready for that, we will fall down. It becomes so difficult for us after some time to practice it. And then we will come back, and when we come back, we will go even back to our back than where we are. So the detachments can be started with simple things, like unnecessary things in our life. Like most of the times there are needs and wants. So we can try detaching ourselves with unnecessary things. If we see our day, we will know where we spent most of our time. And there will be so many unnecessary things that we do. And we can start ourselves practicing a discipline of detaching ourselves with unnecessary things, and making our life focused on the necessary things for the life. So all of us may be having a job to maintain our body. So focusing on that, our family, where we can nurture them in Krishna consciousness, give them Krishna consciousness, and on our health, and then on our sadhana. So we can focus on this and keep everything else far away, especially the phones, TV, gossiping, so many other things which take a lot of time from us away. So these simple steps we can take, and we can start attaching ourselves more and more to Krishna Nama, Katha and all. So Krishna will help us to develop that Vairagya with the material things, and material desires slowly stop. And every material desire that we are getting, we can think and see whether this will take us closer to Krishna or not, whether this is my need or not. And these kind of simple detachments we should try. And then we should be keep practicing this detachment. We may not be successful, but we have to be keep practicing and try to control our mind from unnecessary things and divert it towards Krishna. And even when we are chanting also, we try to control our mind, at least that chanting time, that 2 hours or 3 hours that we are spending. We tell to ourselves that this is the time I'm connecting myself to Krishna. I'm sitting and chanting the 16 rounds. Let me do it. Let me give my 100% here. Let me not distribute this time with other things. I can do all that later. And then do that quality chanting, connect ourselves with the Supreme Lord, think about the pastimes and all. That actually influences our day a lot. A good chanting shows in our day where we will be having thoughts of the Lord. And whatever we have heard in our morning lectures or evening lectures, whatever we read, we can try to think of that. So the more we hear in detail, attentively about the Lord, the more whatever we see in this material world makes us remember the Lord. If we pay attention and listen, so many verses where they say how to see Lord in everything. So whatever we are seeing, we will be able to see the Lord when our hearing is attentive, when our chanting is attentive. Krishna helps us to remember him. So the base is in our chanting. And when we are chanting, we have to practice controlling our mind. It will be very difficult in the beginning, but as we keep practicing, it becomes automatic for the mind. So we have to give ourselves that much time and patience that I will do that. And never ever treat yourself with a bad chanting. There is actually no advantage of treating ourselves with a bad chanting. Anyway, we are using our mouth, sitting down and chanting. Let us do it wonderfully with an attentive chanting. Like they say, right? Like, when you are suffering with some disease or anything, many people say there is no point treating yourself with suffering. Go and see the doctor and get it cured. In the similar way, like when we can get benefited with the attentive and quality chanting, we should put that extra effort and try to control our mind, try to detach ourselves, keep an environment where we are not materially influenced when we are chanting, especially our phone, keeping that away. These days we are chanting in our phones on the Zoom calls or anything. That also we can start the Zoom and put it a little bit away so that we are not watching the phone. Make ourselves comfortable where we are not too sleepy and not too comfortable that we will sleep, and not too uh, agitative or volatile or moving that we cannot focus on Krishna. So arranging a place, a seat for our chanting, sitting down, a seat in our mind for chanting, keeping Krishna in front of us, a Krishna picture or Tulsi Maharani or altar, and sitting down and focusing. So many said that, oh, you have to think of Krishna in mind. Why to sit in front of altar or Tulsi Maharani or a picture? If I'm thinking of Krishna all the time in the mind, then there is no need to be in front of an altar or a picture or somewhere else. So those who reach to the stage of samadhi, who can constantly think of Krishna without any break, then maybe for them, maybe it's okay if you are not sitting even in front of altar. But when we are in sadhana stage, our thoughts will not be that constant, that we are always seeing the picture of Krishna. So it is very, very helpful if we are having a picture of the Lord and then we are chanting, then our mind won't go anyway. So this is a simple technique to focus on the Lord, or think of the Lord's pastimes, or hear and chant. That is one thing which Prabhupada has told many times, like, hear your chanting. When we are hearing our chanting, so many times we don't notice that Many devotees, when they are chanting, when chanting becomes a habit, whatever they are doing, the mantra comes. But then they may missing the syllables, or they may not pronounce the words properly. So when we hear and chant, when we hear our own chanting, the quality of our chanting increases, the focus of our mind increases. We will be focusing on Nama of the Lord, as Nama of the Lord and Lord are not different. We will be always thinking of the Lord. So when we do a effective chanting, attentive chanting, our whole day goes in thinking of the Lord, and we will progress in bhakti and go to that stage of bhava and prema. And when we develop that prema, that pure love for the Lord, automatically all the time we will be thinking about the Lord only. So like how we are thinking about something that we love now all the time, even when we are at work, if somebody is very attached to their children, even when they go to work, they will be always thinking like what my children are doing, did they eat, did they go to school? And somebody who is attached to a certain kind of a game or something, if that is happening, even though they are working, they are always thinking of like that. So we already have that habit of thinking unknowingly about what we love, even though when externally we look like we are doing something else. So we already have that. It is not something very difficult for us. So that gets changed. The object that we are thinking gets changed when we do an attentive chanting, Guru Seva, and devotional service to the Lord. It converts and it becomes, it transfers to Lord. So Prabhupada is here saying, like how Krishna has mentioned in um, third chapter of Bhagavad Gita and many places, Manmana bhava bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. So we should be always thinking of the Lord, Lord's pastime, Lord's associate, and continue doing our work, because we have to maintain our body. We cannot live without working in this world. So we have to live by working, but always have for whom we are working, for the pleasure of the Lord. I'm going to offer my work to the Lord. So all the time we have that thing in our mind that Lord is my master. I am trying here to please the Lord. And in that bhava, if we do everything and always thinking of the Lord, we will definitely go and go to the achieve liberation, the Lord. So here Prabhupada is saying, but goes back to Godhead and receives spiritual body resembling those of Lord's eternal associate. So Sarupya Mukti is getting the body similar to the Lord's associate, like four-handed form. All of them look like Vishnu. However, devotees likes to serve the Lord. He may constantly thinks of Lord associate, cowherd boys, gopis, father, mother, his servants and trees. Because of constantly thinking of these features, one acquires transcendental position. So because we are constantly thinking of the Lord, we are associating ourselves with the Lord, we are above the modes already. The modes does not show our influence. In 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks, how do I overcome the influence of the modes? So like how a drunken person does not know how he is behaving after drinking, he behave in a way under the influence of the substance. People doesn't know how they are behaving. In the same way, most of the times we are under the influence of these modes, and when they are influencing us, we sometimes have no control on how we are behaving. When mode of ignorance is influencing us, we cannot control our anger, we cannot control our jealousy, we cannot control our greed, and we get influence of that. So for that, Krishna said, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevata sagunan samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So that is the stage here. That is the reference here. Prabhupada is giving that when we are working, when we are thinking constantly of the Lord, we go to that Brahma Bhuyaya, this stage where Brahman level, where we will be associating Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. He gets elevated to the Brahman platform. that is soul. So we get situated in our position that we realize that we are soul. And what is the nature of the soul? Soul is a part and parcel of the Lord, and we realize our eternal position, that we are servants of the Supreme Lord. So we, as explained before, material world is acting under the spells of modes of material nature. One should not be disturbed by the activities of the modes of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activities, he may transfer his consciousness to Krishna's activities. Krishna's activities are known as Bhakti Yoga, always acting for Krishna. This includes not only Krishna, but his plenary expansions such as Rama and Narayana. He has innumerable expansions. One who is engaged in the service of any of the forms of Krishna or of his plenary expansions is considered to be transcendental situated. So when we are engaging in these services, when we always engage ourselves in these services, we are already transcendentally situated. So voluntarily, we also have to try this. So most of the times when our kids are grown, and then they leave our nest and go, or like whatsoever maybe, we should always first observe our day, where we have that free time and what I am doing with that free time. After chanting 16 rounds, after doing my daily reading, after doing the deity worship, whichever the deities we have, there might be people who still have some time, some free time. So what I am doing in that free time? Generally, what we do is, oh, I have done so much already. I have chanted 16 rounds. I have done everything related to devotion. Now I use this for some kind of other things other than devotion. And we think that I'm able to balance both of them. And then I will progress like this. But we will never be able to progress when we are putting our legs on both the things. Like, we are doing only whatever is required. The 16 rounds is a minimum, Prabhupada said. It's not that you do 16 and you are done for the day. So we should grow to the stage where Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We are constantly thinking of the Lord. That is the stage we should be growing to, where we will be transcendently situated. So slowly, every year, as it grows, like all of us like to have resolutions, every year we should observe our day, and wherever we have that free time, we should engage ourselves in in devotional service of the Lord. And that too, we should take up something that is little challenging to us, so that we will be more focusing and more dedicating ourselves. So this kind of a self-improvement plan, self goals, we have to keep to ourselves and pack our day in such a way that we have no other option other than thinking of the Lord. Otherwise, if we give little bit of lenience to our mind, where we are not where we are still not elevated to the stage where we can spontaneously think about the Lord all the time, when we are still not into the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, we are still in Sadhana Bhakti, mind easily slips into the things. Very easily. Take your phone and sit down. Many devotees always say that, I think that I will just see the important messages and I'll start going, and then hours pass. Or we start talking about something, we start seeing about something, and then just time passes away. So we all should have to engage that time also in service of the Lord. Like something or the other, there will be always there for us to do. It's not that, oh, I thought of everything, I have done everything. It will never be like that. There is so much to do. And then we should be, even though we don't like it, we don't feel like doing, we should be doing it, because that is what helps us to elevate and come to the stage where we are constantly thinking of the Lord. So who is engaged in the service of any of these forms, one should also note that all the forms of Krishna are fully transcendental, blissful, full of knowledge and eternal. Such personalities of Godhead are omnipotent and omniscient, and they possess all transcendental qualities. So if one engages himself in the service of Krishna or his planetary expansions with unfailing determination, so we need to develop the determination that I will do, even though I'm not liking it, I will definitely do it. I will keep this as my priority. So Prabhupada here is saying, like, do not pay attention to the activities of the mode, and pay attention to Krishna's activities. So, and unfailing determination, although these modes of material nature are very difficult to overcome, one can overcome them easily. So, the only focus that we should have is that the only determination that we should have always is that I will engage myself in pure devotional service of the Lord in one or the other way. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Swaranam, Padasevanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam. In one or the other way, I will be always constantly engaging myself in the service of the Lord. So, voluntarily we should do. I know many devotees who pack their days when externally some people come and ask, like, oh, it looks like you don't have any free time for yourself. Then I was pondering on that question, like, what is actually the free time for myself means? So this is something we hear in material world. They say, like, keep some time for yourself. And then that generally people talk in context of making your subtle body and your gross body happy. Keeping time for yourself generally means what? Like, go and do some exercise, read some, go and do some activity which gives pleasure to you. That is what actually that means. Keep some time for yourself, that me time. We can extend that me time to the soul. Like, many times people say that when you are in depression, or when you are not feeling enthusiastic, or when you are stressed, to overcome all those things, everybody say, keep some me time to yourself. So that me time is like taking care of yourself, not like your family members or work or something else, but doing for yourself something, like going for a walk, reading a nice book, doing meditation, so that your mind is free of all the stress. So these all things generally people use, but we, being Krishna consciousness, we can extend that me time to the level of soul. That me time is soul, engaging ourselves, connecting ourselves with that Supreme Lord, of whom we are part and parcel, of whom, when we serve him, our senses gets pleased. When we serve the senses of the Lord, Rishikeshena, Sevaya, Rishikeshasya. So when we serve the senses of the Lord, our senses get satisfied. So we should extend that, and we say that my me time is me engaging with the Supreme Personality of the Lord, Godhead, and doing devotional service to the Lord. So Prabhupada is saying, when we are unfailingly determined and engage ourselves constantly in the service of the Lord, we will easily overcome these three modes. And when we overcome these three modes, we are transcendentally situated. So that is the position we can attain when we go to constantly thinking of the Lord. How we go to constantly thinking of the Lord? When we engage ourselves in devotional service of the Lord, using by practicing one or the other way, hearing, chanting, kirtanam, deity worship, all cooking for the Lord. So different kinds of services. By doing that constantly, we will elevate ourselves to that position where we are constantly thinking of the Lord, and we will acquire the transcendental position where the influence of the modes is not there. Paundraka, Narakasura, Salva, Kamsa were inimical towards personality of Godhead, but because all these kings constantly thought of him, they achieved same liberation. So they were also thinking of the Lord, but unfavorably they are thinking of the Lord, and that is not for us to practice. And all of you are so advanced devotees who already know that is not the path that we should be practicing. The Gnana Bhakta, the devotee who follows the path of Gnana, also attains same destination. So the Gnana Bhakta also attains the same destination as Sarupya Mukti. If even the enemies of the Lord achieve salvation by constantly thinking about the Lord, what is said to be of the pure devotees? So they are getting liberation, then what to say of the pure devotees? Pure devotees who favorably think of the Lord, who love the Lord, who cannot think anything other than the Lord, they achieve even a higher position, being constantly associating with the Lord, exchanging their love, and Lord reciprocating to them directly, and the constant association of the Lord. 41. Akhyatam sarvame tatte yanmam tam pari prushtavan dhamagosha sutadinam harer satmayam apittvisham. Akhyatam described sarvam, everything, etad, this, te, unto you, yet whatever, mam, unto me, tvam, you, pariprushtavan, inquired, Damagosha Suta Adinam, the son of Damagosha, Susupala and others, Harer, of the Lord, Satmayam, equal bodily features, Api, even, Divasham, although they were very inimical. Translation: everything you asked me about how Shishpala and others attained salvation, although they were inimical, has now been explained to you by me. So Narad Muni is telling to Yudhishthira that I have explained everything to you, how Shishupala and Dantavakta have attained. So he already explained how they were Jaya Vijaya and they have taken 3 births and they were inimical to the Lord. And they were constantly thinking of the Lord and how they got liberated. 42. Esha Brahmanyadevasya Krishnasya cha Mahatmanah Avatarakata Punya Vado Yatradi Daityayo. Yesha, all this, Brahmanya Devasya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is worshipped by all Brahmanas, Krishnasya of Krishna, the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Cha also, Mahatmanaha, the Super Soul, Avatarakata, narrations about his incarnations, Punya, pious, purifying, Vadaha, killing, Yatra, wherein, Adi, in the beginning of millennium, Daityayo, of the demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. In this narration about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, various expansions or incarnations of the Lord have been described, and the killing of the 2 demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, has also been described. So Narada is actually concluding how he has answered the question of Yudhishthira. Actually, Sukadeva Goswami is answering Parikshit Maharaj. This conversation between Narada and Yudhishthira happened after the Rajasuya Yajna. So that's what, like when Sichupala got killed, so that's where, so he's concluding and then he's going to give the benedictions that people are going to get by hearing this pastime. In this narration about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, various expansions or incarnations of Lord have been described, and the killings of the 2 demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, has also been described. Purport: Avataras or incarnations or expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Govinda, Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Mananta Rupam, Ajyam Purana Purusham Navayavvanam cha, Vedeshu Dhurlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhaktau, Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is the original person, non-dual, infallible, and without beginning. Although he expands into unlimited forms, he is still the original, and although he is the oldest person, he always appears as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, and all-knowing forms of the Lord cannot be understood by the academic wisdom of the Vedas, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. The Brahma Samhita describes the avatars. Indeed, all the avatars are described in the authentic scriptures. No one can become an avatara or incarnation, although this has become fashionable in the age of Kali. The avatars are described in the authentic scriptures, and therefore, before one risks accepting a pretender as an avatara, one should refer to the Shastras. The Shastras say everywhere that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and that he has innumerable avatars or incarnations. Elsewhere in the Brahma Samhita, it is said, Ramadi Moshitu Kala, Niyamena Dishtan, Rama, Narasimha, Varaha, and many others are consecutive expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After Krishna comes Balarama. After Balarama is Sankarshana, then Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Narayana, and then Purusha avatars, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakasai Vishnu, and Stirodakasai Vishnu. All of them are avatars. One must hear about the avatars. Narrations about such avatars are called Avatarakata, the narrations of Krishna's expansions. Hearing and chanting these narrations is completely pious. Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtanaha. One who hears and chants can become Punya, purified of material contamination. Whenever there are references to the avatars, religious principles are established and demons who are against Krishna are killed. The Krishna conscious movement is spreading all over the world with 2 aims: to establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and to kill all the pretenders who falsely present themselves as avatars. The preachers of Krishna consciousness movement must carry this conviction very carefully within their hearts and kill the demons who in many tactful ways vilify the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. If we take shelter of Narsimdev and Prahlad Maharaj, it will be easier to kill the demons who are against Krishna and thus to re-establish Krishna's supremacy. Krishna is the Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the original Lord. Prahlad Maharaj is our Guru and Krishna is our worshipable God. As advised by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. If we can be successful in getting the mercy of Prahlad Maharaj and also that of Narsimhadev, then our Krishna conscious movement will be extremely successful. The demon Hiranyakasipu had so many ways to try to become God himself, but although Prahlad Maharaj was chastised and threatened in many ways, he resolutely refused to accept his powerful demonic father as God. Following in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, we should reject all the rascals who pretend to be God. We must accept Krishna and his incarnations and no one else. I think Prabhupada has seen the future. Are getting influenced by the YouTube videos and the methods that are said in YouTube, and they're following that. So after following for some time, somebody in YouTube, they start thinking that person as a god, or that person starts claiming himself as God. So somebody was forwarding me, like, it became a business nowadays in India. Like, suddenly you declare yourself as a god, and then people go there, and if their desires are fulfilled, you get faith, and then they start believing, and they start worshipping. And after a few years, they come to know that whoever is the lady or a man who claim themselves as God are actually cheating or fraud. And then people get devastated and they stop believing in the real God. They lose faith. They think that, oh, everything is not correct. Everybody is fraud. So that's the problem. And we should always consider scriptures, as Prabhupada has mentioned here. Scriptures have mentioned about the future avtaras also. For that, people has to know the scriptures first. They have to read the scriptures, or they have to hear. We don't have time to hear or read scriptures, as we have so many things to hear and read in this material world, which are very attractive, which gives instant pleasure to our senses. So people boringly they say that, oh, to hear to a lecture is a boring. People fast forward and listen. Other day, somebody was sharing with me, like, people quickly fast forward the lectures and listen. But if it is a favorite movie or something that they are watching, they don't want to fast forward. They don't want anybody to disturb them, because they are enjoying that instant pleasure at that point of time. So that's why their attachment is there materially. So it's lectures they find boring. And if we are saying that, like, material desires, they are temporary, they give you temporary happiness, instead of that you should aim for pure devotional service, many are also not interested in that, because first we want to fulfill our material desires. So it becomes so difficult to practice Krishna consciousness, preach Krishna consciousness, and we need a lot of intelligence, common sense. How do we approach the people who are completely materially engrossed? How do we even give the taste of Krishna Nama, Krishna conscious to them? Unless they taste it, they develop faith, they will not be able to take it seriously. So for that, we can depend on Krishna, Guru, Lord Narasimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj. So we have to completely seek their mercy and go on in our preaching, following in their footsteps, repeating their words. First of all, we have to practice. Like, people, the moment you start preaching, you will be judged. people start looking at you, how you are leading your life. What are you saying is matching with what you are following or not? So that's immediate question comes. And if there is a difference between those two, we actually cause we actually push them away from Krishna consciousness rather than bringing them closer to Krishna consciousness. We preach something and we do something, that becomes very difficult for us to preach to them. We can never convince them. So first of all, we have to practice. Our practice should be strong. And then, depending on Krishna and Guru, if we preach, people get attracted to what we are following, what we are showing, our sincerity, and they want to do. So if we showed two different personalities of us, and then we expect them to practice, then that becomes difficult. We can preach by practicing. By being a devotee, we preach a lot rather than speaking. How we behave when we have difficulties, how we are able to control our material desires, how we are engaging our day, how we are seeing and interacting with the devotees. All these things actually preach a lot. And then if we speak Krishna Kada, people get attracted. So it's Krishna's mercy and Guru's mercy that is actually working. Prabhupada's Leelamrita, Prabhupada mentions that I want all my devotees to, all my disciples, sorry. I want all my disciples to be prepared in Shastra and do a good sadhana and then go and preach. Prabhupada says that even I am not prepared to answer all these questions that you are all questioning, but Krishna is the one who is making it happen. So Krishna will make it happen. Krishna will shower his mercy, and he will give us right intelligence and right words that to speak to the people. And he will make us compassionate towards the people and how to take Krishna conscious to them. It's a common sense actually. So that comes to us when our sadhana is good and we please Guru and Krishna. So then we will become successful. So then Prabhupada also here is mentioning that following the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, if we can be successful in getting the mercy of Prahlad Maharaj and also that of Narasimhadev, then our Krishna consciousness movement will be extremely successful. So we have to try to get mercy of Guru Krishna, and then we will be able to be successful as preachers. And we should always have an aim to establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and to kill all the pretenders who falsely present themselves as avatars. So this we have to strongly do. We should not have a middle ground saying that, oh, why should I disturb them? No, we should disturb and tell them that you are dedicating your time and energy and faith to somebody who is not mentioned as an avatara in the scriptures. It may hurt them, they may not like it, but we should be telling them in a pleasing way, not like shouting at them or calling them names or something, but we should say that I have read in scripture that all the avatars as mentioned in scripture are only the avatars. Whoever is claiming to be a new avatara to whom you are developing faith and surrendering, that is wrong. Like that, we have to stop. So Prabhupada is saying these two aims should have those who want to spread Krishna consciousness in this world. That is establishing Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and condemning or condemning all those pretenders. So when we defeat all these people, we have to defeat through the scriptures, quoting the scriptures, references by our discussions. We have to defeat them. And then hearing and chanting of these narrations, Sunvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtanaha. Many of us may not be interested in listening to Krishna Katha, but we always should know and remember that hearing to Krishna Katha actually is going to purify us of material contamination. Nothing else will does. But we have interest in hearing so many other things in the world happening. They are not going to do anything to us. Maybe sometimes they may give us happiness if we hear something good, But most of the times, the happening in the world are going to give us anxiety and stress. We should be knowing what is happening. That can be done in 10-15 minutes in a day. If you read a newspaper or if you read headlines, you will be knowing what is happening. We don't need to spend hours and hours, hours and hours on that. But the men, but we end up spending hours and hours the same thing, and we cause ourselves stress and anxiety, and we waste our time. So we should also practice that. I will know what is happening in the world in just 10-15 minutes by reading a newspaper or a headlines, and I will move on with what I have to do. So hearing and chanting about the narrations of the Lord is actually going to purify us of material contaminations, is actually going to help us develop detachment to the material things. So we will, if we try on our own detaching, it becomes difficult. But if we follow the tips and practice devotional service, detachment automatically happens because we are getting purified of the material contamination. So Sravanam, hearing, so chanting and hearing, these should be going hand in hand. They should be going hand in hand, which helps us to purify ourselves, helps us to develop attachment to Krishna and detachment to the material things. And all the avatars, Prabhupada has quoted Brahma Samhita slokas, uh, Advaitam Achyutam and Ramadi Murshutu, which explains how the Lord is, like how Lord is Advaitam, only one. There is no dual to him. There is nobody equal to him or higher than him. Achyutam, he never fails in protecting his devotees, infallible. And whenever he comes to this material world, he never takes any material body. He comes in his own spiritual body. Anadim, he is the oldest. Anantarupam, he has unlimited forms. In each universe he goes and he becomes Garbhodaksai Vishnu, Shirodaksai Vishnu. He has unlimited forms. Adhyam, he's at the beginning. Purana, he's the oldest, but he always looks like a Purana Purusham, he's the oldest. But Nava Yavvanam Cha, he looks always as a fresh youth. Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham. When somebody claims that Krishna, I have read all the Vedas, I have read all the scriptures, I have done all the austerities, now I should be knowing you, Krishna says that no. Vedeshu Durlabham, you will not be able to find me like that. But Adurlabham, he becomes easily known. He becomes easily known to Atma Bhaktau, who serves him with love. Unalloyed devotees, Krishna comes and reveals himself. Krishna tells them who he is. So that's why the pure devotees of the Lord have no doubt that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is cause of all causes. And they always ready to speak about Krishna. So Adurlabham Atma Bhakto, Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. To that Lord, I am paying my obeisances. That's what Brahma says, that Prabhupada has mentioned this verse. So all of us should keep the goal to increase our devotional service to the Lord every day, reviewing our day, how we have spent our day, where did I do, what did I do, and then trying to increase our engagement in Krishna consciousness is going to help us to elevate, to constantly think of the Lord and go back to God and make use of this human form of life. So I'm going to stop here at 42. 7.43 is tomorrow, Mataji's. Anybody have any questions or comments or corrections? Devotee, please go ahead. Thank you also.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you for such a wonderful explanation and nectarian class today. It was really knowledgeable for us. As always, your classes are very nice, Mataji, very useful for us. I every time mention that it helps us to practically implement, like you mentioned, and pressed more on chanting and hearing, which is really required in this age of Kali Yuga. So, yeah, also you explained about the attachment and detachment. So, we understand, like, detaching from the material objects like cell phone, you gave an example of WhatsApp, everything. Like we try our level best to, for example, any other kind of entertainments. But when we come to our near and dear ones, like our parents, like when they pass, from this planet. Uh, for example, like my father passed in uh, 2021 November. So, or if I can mention any other friends, family friends or anyone, like when there are any kinds of uh, this kind of separation, I can say, and at the same time detachment, how one can overcome this kind of detachment, and uh, be in the try to implement or um, see this as a you know reality, I can say. You can please elaborate, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, separations are very painful and very difficult. But that's the harsh truth. Um, it it just gets on us. Like, nobody wants it, but it comes to us. Um, Very difficult. And then uh, so these kind of difficult situations. So right now we are always constantly thinking of them, and we are feeling that separation, and we are feeling that pain, and we want to overcome that. We want to uh, mm, we want to move on. Generally we get move on with some other things, like we go and do our daily things for 1 2 3 4 5 days, like that. We feel like not doing those things also, but slowly we start doing the regular things. But when it comes to focusing our mind, or making our heart not feel that separation, or not worry, or understand the reality, it is not easy. So again, we all know that the departed soul has taken birth again, and has been performing, moving on to the journey. And then at some point of time we also will go to that, and this is happening again and again. All these things we know, but to remember, to realize them, and to understand, and to know that it's okay, is very difficult. So we will get again that strength of implementing the knowledge that we have learned in the life by our sadhana. Having said that, every opportunity that we are feeling heartbroken or separation, um, instead of feeling sad and morose, we just try to turn that into taking shelter of Krishna. We can be sincere. We don't need to pretend. We don't need to pretend that, oh, I have become detached from this separation. This is what it is happened. We can use that helplessness that we are feeling. We are feeling helpless. No, we are not able to overcome the separation of them. We are feeling very sad that we are missing them. So we can use that same feeling to surrender to Krishna, approach Krishna, talk to Krishna. Krishna, I know this is reality. I know that I will also go through this situation one day. And I know that nobody is going to stay here permanently in this world, but I have so much attachment to my parents or my near and dear ones, that I am not able to overcome and focus on you. You help me, Krishna. And then our chanting that we are doing, or our name, we can talk to Krishna, going and sitting in front of our altar and talking to Krishna, begging Krishna to help us to overcome the helplessness that we are feeling, and the thing that we are doing. So then actually by doing so, we get mercy of Krishna, and we will be able to see the things. We will be able to understand, or we will be able to use the knowledge that we have acquired from scriptures, because Krishna has to give us intelligence to even approach him. That's what Krishna says in 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Tesham satata yuktanam. Whoever is engaged in devotional service to me constantly, I give them the intelligence to come to me. So he gives us the intelligence, he gives us the remembrance, he gives us the forgetfulness. So Krishna only blesses with that forgetfulness, that we can move on and focus on our devotional service. So instead of pretending that I am a great devotee, I am not, it is not affecting me, loss of my father or loss of my mother or anything. Sincerity is an important thing in devotional service. This, some years back, I read in Radhana Swami's book Nectar of Doves, sincerity without any ulterior motive. And there is one more word. These are the three things I now forgot. Usually easily comes to me, but now I forgot. So sincerity is very, very important. Like being sincere of our position, that I am attracted to this material thing, and Krishna, I want you to help me to overcome this. I know that I'm not pure. I know that I'm not there. I know that it's hurting me. So like this, if we approach Krishna, whatever the misfortune or whatever the reversal that happened in our life, whatever the sad thing that happened in our life, actually helps us to get closer to Krishna and seek help from Krishna to overcome this. Because there are some things in our life which only which outside devotees may not be able to help us, and Krishna only can help us. Nobody else can change certain things in our life. When we try our best, certain problems in our life, no human being, no relation can help. Only Krishna has to help us. And then approaching Krishna with that kind of a meekness and humbleness, helplessness, and going towards him actually develops lot of love for him, lot of dependence on him, and the shelter that we take in that helpless situation makes us closer to Krishna. So I am telling what I am practicing, which may not be right or wrong, but from last 2-3 years, I face so many challenges, things which are so helpless, and every situation was so disturbing, like you feel like, let's run away from this situation or go and hide somewhere and not face this. So, but then hang on there and hold on to Krishna's lotus feet and say that I am going to endure this with help of you, Krishna. I have no other shelter other than you. I'm holding on to you, and I know that you are there to help me move on. So we can use that also when we are separated from our loved and dear ones, because that's a very immense pain that we have to go through, and then take shelter of Krishna. And chanting, I say, sadhana helps us, but then talking to Krishna, sitting down and talking to him, because that's what we say, right? The altar that we have is not they are not just frames, they are not just wooden deities, they are Krishna, Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, and Krishna sitting there. And we are not going and talking to them, sit down and talking to them, seeking their shelter, seeking their help, helps us, and he gives us that intelligence to overcome the things, or to how do I face it without falling down. Because these are the situations so tempting for us to fall down and go into some kinds of sadness and always think about that. See, thinking is the thing that we do all the time. Sometimes when loved ones passed away, there is nothing we can do to bring them back. It is not going to happen. And then, but our mind keeps dwelling on that, thinking about that. So now we have to change this thinking to something else. And Krishna is the one who is going to help us do that. We try on our own by trying to divert us, distract us whenever those thoughts are coming. And always, like, and most important thing that we can do practically is when we miss our loved ones, is to think about the good things that they have done, how glorious, how wonderful they are. And talking about those good things actually makes us feel that they are still present with us, instead of thinking about the fact that they left us, they are not there anymore. More thinking like, how did we spend time with them, how are they, how wonderful they were. And immediately also we can do one thing, like if we are a son or a daughter, we can pray for them. Like that is something where we say that, I'm going to pray for you to get a next better life, because I love you so much. I love you so much as a soul. You're a soul at the end of the day in that body, and I want you to reach higher destination. So I'm going to chant for you more. I'm going to dedicate my chanting some rounds for you to get an higher destination.
So like that, we all can do connect and go and thinking in a positive way also.
Thank you, Mataji, for such a wonderful explanation. I think this will really help everyone, on the call. Thank you again. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Danat Pranam, all good Sri Prabhupada. Your classes are so wonderful, as always. Today's also was so nice. Your wide and deep sadhana and so deep sadhana and wide preaching missions have really help us a lot in understanding. I mean, you harp on the real things that helps us get the bhakti. So today's class also conveyed the same. You talked about yes. I mean, you are talking about your. I mean, your our preaching missions. Yes, and it is seen that yes, without the purity, the conveyance of the bhakti is not possible actually. I mean, I have seen also, and whoever is there in the bhakti viksha leadership or some not leadership and something like a helping or preaching, you would understand that once somebody has purity, the purity is a force, as Prabhupada said, and that it conveys, it carries the bhakti to the other person, and it is yeah, I have also seen that. So it is correct. And we also in the Prabhu's plea, you rightly pointed out that some of the times it's only Krishna who can help, and yeah, and also Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the 6 limbs of Saranagati. One is the Goptritya Varnan, that is talking to the Lord. Yes, Lord is there within our heart. He is our Suridam Sarvabhutanam. So and nobody else would understand the pain where the Lord would. So it also takes us closer to Krishna, and I mean the out of the 26, 28 qualities of Vaishnava, the one I was just reflecting, and that the most important is the Krishna Eka Saranam. Yes, so when you take Sharan of Krishna as a single point of surrender, then Krishna, Bhakta Vatsal Krishna is obliged. So we make them obliged if we can. So nice to reflect upon this Bhakta and Bhagavan relationship, very, very important. Sambandha with Prajan. Real Mataji, your classes of nectarian, your session of purifying, please bless us with your presence more and more in the future. Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for those kind words. Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy. Yeah, purity is the force. Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, this is Vinod Maheshwari. Thank you very much. It was very, very interesting. All the points I took a note, and hopefully I'll try. So thank you again.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Guru's mercy, Krishna's mercy.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam. Thank you so much for this nectarian class. And as usual, you gave so many practical points. And especially, we heard you after a long time. And especially with the New Year startup from this starting New Year, you gave so many tips and tricks. And wonderful class, Mataji. How should we start our New Year? So thank you so much. And Vinod Prabhu is from here in this area, Maryland. So he's joining first ever Bhagvatam class today. So let us welcome him in our traditional way. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Welcome, Vinod Prabhu.
Welcome to the call. And please give your association every day. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. I'll try my best.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Anybody has any question or comments, please go ahead. Hare Krishna. And Rashmi Mataji also, Mataji, she's joining nowadays. So, Rashmi Mataji, let us welcome Rashmi Mataji also.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Krishna Mataji, I had a question, but it's very late. Should I ask or should I ask the next time?
I have 10 minutes time, Mataji. You can, if you are.
Okay. So, Mataji, in the beginning of the class, you had a lot of emphasis on attachment, detachment. You spoke a lot about it. So, I was wondering, how does that all work with faith? Because we talk about Shraddha a lot and it kind of develops. But I have seen many times that we can have Shraddha, but at the same time, there are a lot of attachments. And I was wondering what is that relationship and how it works. So if you could please share um, something related to this.
So Shraddha, faith, is like a small plant in the beginning, like how the plant, when you sow the seed, you get a small plant which is not strong, right? Like which can go away if a wind comes or a flood comes. So initially, beginning days, our faith is also like that, not strong, and we have lot of attachments because we are highly bodily conscious. So we see things relation to the body, things that give happiness to our body, and we try to do those things because we still did not come to a stage where we realize we are souls, or not to even to the stage that practicing Krishna consciousness is good for me. So we have to be honest, because everybody is telling to practice, everybody is telling to chant, everybody is asking us to follow the four root creative principle, but I still did not get that conviction that I want to do all these things. So that will be initial stages. So initial stages, the Shraddha, the faith is very feeble, like it is not strong enough. And it is our responsibility to grow that faith. So like how you went and saw a doctor, you have some, let's say I have some sickness. I went and saw the doctor. The doctor said, this is the course, 10 days, you have to take this medicine. And you also have to stop eating this. So you have to stop eating this, and then you have to do this, take this medicine and eat this for you to get better. So he always gives us both the things, like what we should be stop doing and what we should be doing to get cured. So in the similar way, the attachments or detachments are also like that. If we want to progress in our Krishna consciousness, if we want to come out of this cycle of birth and death, if we want to overcome all the miseries in the material life and situate ourselves in our eternal position as a soul, this is the path. And initially, our Shraddha will not be strong, our conviction will not be strong. Like how we force ourselves to take the tablet every day, whether we like it or not, the 10 days course. Similarly, we have to follow the acharyas, the process they have said, chant the holy names of the Lord, hear the names of the Lord, and try to follow the four regulative principles: no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling. Try to follow these things, and then slowly, our Shraddha, the tree, which is very small, when you take care of it, when you nurture it, when you put a fence around it, you pour enough water, you make sure that no animal is coming and eating that, and you are removing all the weeds around it, slowly that tree starts growing, and it becomes so strong that any wind or anything will not make the tree break. But until then, you have to nurture it, you have to protect it, you have to take away the weeds. In the similar way, until our faith becomes stronger and goes to the next stage, and we come to the nishta, and we get the taste of the holy name, we have to avoid certain things. Like, let's say I want to lose weight, and then I said that, okay, I'm going to go on a journey of a weight loss, and then from today onwards I'm going to not eat junk. I should not say that I'll keep junk in front of me and I will develop that mental stability to not eat, not touch that. So senses are very strong. Our senses are more stronger than what we think. In a conditioned stage, senses are stronger. because we are not still purified. So what we should do, first of all, we should remove all the junk food from our house. We have to develop that detachment. If we are convinced of losing the weight, I'm going to keep all the junk away, out of sight, so that whenever at a weak point, it is not even closer to me to go and eat. If it is near me, closer to me, in that weak moment, I may go and use it and eat it. So that's why what I do, the first step, I will put it away, out of sight. So even though I don't like it, we have to do that with respect to detachment, that the things that take us away from Krishna, the things that make us do sinful things, the things that make us not follow the dharma, we should voluntarily keep them away. We should not say that I will go to a nightclub and I will not drink. I'll go to the areas. We should not be challenging our senses like that. Krishna says in 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, a person who's trying to control, a person who is knowledgeable, also get carried away by the senses. So we have to detach from those. That preliminary detachment should be done. That physical detachment should be done from the things which are going to take us away from Krishna. We should not say that I'm going to sit in front of the TV and chant and I will try to control, even the news is played there. That all things we should not do. We should keep it away. We should stop the TV. We should keep the phone away. Like that, we should keep the things away which are taking us away from Krishna, which are distracting our lives, which are disturbing our lives and not make us follow the dharma. We should keep them away. And that keeping that away is not easy for us. We are struggling. We are having so much pain. Sometimes we are keeping away. Sometimes we are not keeping away because we are still in a sadhana stage. And then what should we do immediately? So we have done what we should not be doing. And immediately what we have to do is we have to do a quality chanting. The sadhana should be very powerful. Sitting down and chanting should be very powerful, that we get that strength to keep our detachments, to keep the things that are disturbing us away. Otherwise, we don't have that mental strength or to do that things. And how do we derive that strength? From where do we derive that strength? From our sadhana, tapobalam, the sadhana that we are doing, that gives us that strength, that gives us that intelligence, that mental stability, that I'm not going to do this is not good for me. And like this, we will also get attached to Krishna. When our sadhana is going nicely, automatically, earlier I struggled a lot to keep my phone away from me when I'm chanting. Now it comes so automatically to me. Even the beep sounds are coming, I am not disturbed. I will not, I'm not bothered. Earlier I was little bothered. I was struggling to control. Now I'm not bothered. So we will slowly grow to that stage, and that detaching the things that are not required for us comes very automatically to us. Initially, we did on our own. We voluntarily did. And we have to do voluntarily. Some people will say that, oh, no, it should come automatically to you. You should not do it voluntarily. That's not the case. We are voluntarily following the traffic rules so that we don't get into the accident. We are not saying that it should come automatically to. When we do voluntarily, it comes automatically to us after certain time. So, and also one more thing we have to do is, we should not focus a lot on our shortcomings or the things that we have to keep away. What we should do is, like, I'll take the medicine first. I'll chant first. It is so difficult that I am at ground zero and I have so many things that are material things around me, and so many attachments that it finds so difficult to give them all and suddenly become a saint next day overnight. So what I will do is, if I'm at that level of a beginner level, what I will first do is I'll start taking the medicine first. It is showing effect, and slowly I will try my best every day to do the things which I should not be doing also. So we can focus on the do's that we have to do every day. That is chanting the holy names of the Lord, and then following the regulative principles if we can. First and foremost important thing is chanting the holy names of the Lord. It is very easy, very simple, yet very, very powerful for Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, Krishna did not say us to do anything else. He asked us to chant the names of the Lord. So that we should do. And slowly, when our attachment to Krishna increases, detachment comes very automatically to us. We'll slowly detach. So the dangerous things, important things, we should voluntarily start detachment. We should try based on our sadhana sakti, and then slowly comes. And when we are doing sadhana, our faith, the shraddha, the bhaktilata bija also slowly grows. And then if you don't take away the weeds, whatever the water we are giving, whatever the fertilizer that we are giving will not go to the actual plant, will go to all the weeds. So the weeds or these bad things that we have to remove them. Our attachment to the material things, that we have to remove. And sometimes we can remove, sometimes it's difficult, but we should try and we should keep chanting. So I don't know if I answered or if I addressed your concern, Mataji.
No, but thank you, Mataji. Wonderful answer. So in like summary, I just am for me, it's like fake it till you make it. So you keep doing things and kind of eliminating things that basically take you back to where you began. So in order to progress, like do elimination slowly and keep at it, like fake it till you make it, right? And second, what I am taking away is that generally faith and detachment are inversely proportional. So as you grow, your faith grows. As you do sadhana, your faith will grow, and more your faith grows, detachment will come automatically. It's not that you have to do anything, but they are inversely proportional. So if you say that you have lot of faith, then somehow in your behavior, in the way, in your character, or in your relationships, or whatever it is, it would be visible even in your actions and what you do. So that's my takeaway from your answer. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct, Mataji. As the faith increases, as the attachment increases, detachment automatically goes away. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the wonderful answer and for the wonderful session. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Yes, very nice answer, Mataji, and thank you, Rashmi Mataji, for answering such a nice question too. And Nikuliyas Prabhu answering this question. Thank you so much, Mataji, these answers. Anybody has any question or comment? Yeah, Partha Prabhu also. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the comment. Okay, so I think nobody has any question or comments. We can end up the call here because Mataji has to start her work. So thank you so much, Mataji, for your time, and please, we're hoping you will come again very soon on call and give your association.
Thank you so much, Mataji. अनंतकोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय, नाम संकीर्तन की जय, ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, हरे
कृष्ण, मालिनी मंजरी माता जी की जय। Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण।